Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
So 1 year in, that means I am among the 20% of podcasts that make it 365 days. Thanks for joining me. I got the highlight reel here for you today. Got guest clips as well as a few little tidbits I've thrown in myself. Guests, by the way, I got really lucky this year. Got Bob Burg from The Go Giver, Sarah Nay, who is the COO of Duct Tape Marketing. Got Dr. JJ Peterson, the head of Story Brand, and I've got several others. Andy Storch talking about goals, Tanya Alvarez on accountability groups, and Tim Francis, VA extraordinaire. And as for me, I've got just a few of the quick hits on how to actually do more by doing less. We're going to start with Bob Burg, author of The Go Giver. You've read it. If you haven't read it, you need to go get it. He's going to talk to us right now about the importance of adding value and how to do it properly.
Exactly. So I like to use just a very simple example, the one of the accountant who you hire to do your taxes, who charges you round figure $1,000. That's
sure.
her fee, her price, $1,000. But what value is she providing you? Well, through her experience, hard work, getting to know you, getting to know your business, what you're looking to accomplish, she's able to save you $5,000 in taxes. She saves you countless hours of time, and she provides you and your family with the security and peace of mind of knowing it's done correctly. So she gave you well over $5,000 in value,
correct,
relative worth, right? Value in exchange for $1,000 price. So you feel great about it, and she made a very healthy profit, which she should. In fact, in any free market-based exchange, when I say free market, I simply mean no one's forced to do business with anyone else. There should always be two profits. The buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were beforehand. But the key to this is that it took place not because the accountant was focused on the fee she was going to receive from you. She was focused on the immense value she was going to provide you. The fee was simply the result. This is why John and I say that money is simply an echo of value, right? It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, meaning nothing more than that the value must be that you're providing another person must be your focus. The money you receive is simply a natural result.
This is from the podcast episode. Every time you say yes to one thing, you say no to two more important things. This is the gist of how to make that comparison to know if you're saying yes to the wrong things and what you're losing out on when you do that. So you need a break. You need to start saying no to some stuff. This would be like going to the gym twice a day and lifting the heaviest weights possible with the same muscle group. If you just keep going over and over, you'll make a little progress at the beginning, but then you'll start to fail. If you like filling every minute of every day, compare it to running a marathon. How would running marathons daily work for you? How would eating a buffet at every meal work for you? That's what we're doing when we say yes to so many things. We're just going wide open all the time. And people will tell me, Charles, I need to be busy. I need to be productive. I don't like having idle time. Your brain needs it. Your body needs it. Your mental health and well-being need it. It just sounds cute to be busy all the time because it gives you the excuse of not having to say no. And then you can pretend like you're being productive or being, a good citizen. Good friend of mine who had served, let's say, we won't dime him out, but let's say he was the Rotary president. And he served on that, and he said yes to every single solitary meeting, took on everybody he could, and then one day just realized he wasn't getting to watch his kids grow up because he was involved in every single solitary thing he could be in. He said no. Somebody else stepped up. Nobody talked bad about him. Now he's got his life back. So here's some things to do. Identify one thing this week that you can say no to out of all the things we listed. And then you know what? Stop doing it. Replace it with something else that you actually enjoy. So let's say you've decided that board or committee is a great one. Tell them you need to take a hiatus. Tell them to get some personal stuff. That way they can really worry about you. But tell them, look, I'm going to take a month off. with those 4 hours, don't waste it. Don't just go to YouTube. Don't go to Netflix. Don't check your email. Replace it with something you really like. If you're not going to the gym, go to the gym at that time. If you're missing time with a spouse, go on 4 dates. If you're missing time with kids, insert that there. If you're missing time just sitting and reading and being quiet or hiking, replace it. Then, after those 4 weeks, compare the two. When they reach back out to you and say, sure would like to have you back over here on this XYZ committee, you can say yes, but say, all right, you compare it internally. Am I really making that big of an impact? Do they really need me? And then compare it to, well, do I want to skip those dates? Do I want to skip that time going to the gym? Do I want to skip that time with my kid? And then once you have a basis of comparison, you can decide what you say yes to. But keep this in mind. Anytime you say yes to one thing, I promise you, you're saying no to 2 more important things. Now we've got Sarah Nay from Duct Tape Marketing. Yes, I know doing more by doing less is not normally a quote unquote marketing thing, but she's going to teach us how to get the best use of our time by focusing on our best clients.
And I think the thing to keep in mind is, like in your financial advisor example there, like they still might have clients that are 25 and they still might have clients that are 85, but helping them focus on a core group will help them attract that core group. And so it's not that we're saying you can't serve anyone other than who you're identifying as your core group, but focusing on them will help get in front of them more. And so essentially what we do as part of our strategy process is we actually have our clients give us 10 to 15 of their best clients information. And then we conduct interviews with those clients and we can learn about them. And when we're asking for your best clients, it's who's been with you over the years, who's profitable, who do you love working with, who do you want to attract more people like them. And we get 10 to 15 clients, we schedule client interviews. And in those client interviews, we're learning as much as we can about their best clients. Then we can create personas for those best clients. And we can also create messaging that directly speaks to those best clients. And if you're sitting there thinking like, I don't know who my best clients are, just analyze your client list and look for those things. Who refers you? Who is profitable? Who do you love working with? Who do you want to attract more of people like them? And that's a great starting point to then learn more about that specific group.
If you've ever had the week from hell and it completely derails you from doing more by doing less, this is exactly what you should do about it, taken from the Tracking Little Victories Leads to Big Success episode. First, when you have a bad day or even a bad week, don't let it get beyond that into the next week. Stop what you're doing, write down the bad things that happened, and then you can decide, were they really that bad? Do you have a way out of them? A little trick Napoleon Hill, old motivational speaker author, used to do was to create what's the worst case scenario if this happens, and you'll realize that, well, the worst case scenario may not be that bad. And the second step is to start writing down, well, what's all the wins? What's all the things that went well? Give you a little progress for the things that did well throughout the course of that week. Like now, I recorded podcasts episodes. I've sold the videos. I've got people in the coaching program. And when I look at my wins, it makes me remember what the good things are. Looking back at that point, what were my wins that I stacked up that week? For me that week, I had outsourced some stuff to my VA that I hadn't done before. I sold a giant video package. Back then when I was trying to publish my book, I got a lot of the writing done with it. I got started with the process of even creating this podcast all the way back then. And then other things. Look, within my family, Lily had auditioned, my middle child, for a solo, and she got it. And my little buddy Lane went to football practice. He didn't even have a game that week, but he caught everything thrown his way. And then my oldest daughter, Ava, snuggled up to me on the couch so we could watch Harry Potter again. Something that we don't normally get to do. And even me and Sarah, we had just celebrated our 20th anniversary, and we just got back from this gorgeous vacation to San Diego and San Francisco, and we got to do all the fun things we planned. By focusing on those positive things, I got to celebrate my wins and shift my mindset toward more growth. And that mental shift helps you, do a ton of stuff, maintain motivation, navigate challenges, stay happy when a lot of other folks are not. So take a moment, pause, reflect, remember there's always something to be grateful for. And yeah, I got one more quick marketing example here, but this is Dr. J.J. Peterson, head of Story Brand. If you don't know what Story Brand is, Google it. They are the premier marketing and branding company when it comes to making your customer the hero and taking them through the journey from beginning to end. And he tells us how to do more by doing less with a great example of a mattress company that goes unnamed, and how he helped them transition and sell more with that concept.
Yeah. Marketing is about memorization. If you can get your customers to memorize your value proposition and the problem you solve, boom, you have it. That's what marketing is about. So that's the power of a brand script, understanding that your customer is the hero, being able to tell the same story over and over and over again, using the same talking points in different places so that your customers memorize what you do, how you make their life better, and how they get it. That's actually what marketing is.
So to put you on the spot, we just gave all of those examples. Can you think of a recent one or a popular example where you guys worked with a business and their branding was, and then you were able to develop something that made sense and they're still using it today?
Yes, I have to be careful because I've signed a lot of NDAs, but I will say I recently worked with a mattress brand that everybody knows. It's the number one mattress brand in the world. Now, what I specifically was working with them on was helping them sell to individual stores. So they have a great brand message that's direct to consumers, but they were making themselves the heroes when they were going and talking to store owners. And so they were basically going with the number one mattress in the world and And reality was, I was saying, yes, that brand works to consumers, but when you're actually working to stores, they have a different problem. They don't care that you have a pillow top mattress. They don't care that you have mattresses that can be different densities and hardnesses. They don't care about
the number of coils, how long, what the firmness is on each side.
Mattress owners care that the problem you're solving, mattress store owners, for them, they care that you're going to give them marketing materials and a great brand that's going to make people come in their store, whether they buy your mattress or not.
Sure.
They want to make sure that you can be stocked with everything so that they can get their mattresses to their customers easily. And they want to have good marketing and training for their salespeople. So when you go in to talk to a store, you're not actually going in and pitching the mattress. You're pitching the service that you offer to the stores. And so then they really reshaped everything that they did in their marketing to stores to be less mattress focused and more process focused of how they help the stores win. And they've even seen an improvement, especially like when they're now competing against a bunch of people who are selling direct online. Now the stores are suffering, especially after COVID. And now this brand has come alongside and basically made the store owners the hero.
This one's from a solo episode about creating your ideal work week and what that takes. People wanted, more than anything, they wanted to spend time with family. Other people wanted to do some local traveling. Other people wanted to read more, like actual books under a tree. I don't know why we always have to be under a tree to read. Some folks wanted to hike, common answer. Other people wanted to volunteer more. A couple of them wanted to free up a day and to still do what they did for work because they love doing it. But I want to have a day where I just create all of my own content, record all my own videos, just podcast all day, or just go to nonstop little networking meetings with people that I want to learn from and show interest in, but I just don't have time for. What was universal with all these folks? Well, they all wanted to spend time doing what they loved doing, what fired them up, what got them excited, and would allow them to create a decent living. So here was kind of the catch to that, though. As I asked all these folks this stuff, no one answered. So, hey, Susie, what would your ideal work week look like? Ooh, I'd like to do Monday through about half of Saturday work. I don't know, 55, 60 hours. And I want to skip around from project to project, never really feeling like I'm accomplishing anything. And I want to be drained all the time. The answers always circled back with this ideal schedule that they wanted: freedom. Freedom to do what they want, when they want it. They wanted to have more time available for family, friends, help other people, to work on their passions, to do things they wanted to do. Nobody ever said, I just want to work endlessly, earn tons and tons of money, but never give up working so I can take all the money that I earn and spend it on things that I don't have time to use. And that's the ironic thing with this. We have the ability to free up time now. We have the ability to do what we want to do now, especially this day and age more than ever before. And when I ask people about, do you want to earn more money? Everybody always says, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to earn a little more money. Well, what are you going to do with that money? Rarely do they tell me about all of the fancy toys, upgrading car, upgrading house. They usually say, I want more money to buy my freedom. And more money can, in fact, buy you freedom, but rarely do we do it correctly. We earn more money, and then the process we took to earn more money actually took up more of our time because we didn't do it correctly. So here's the problem. We don't identify why we want the ideal schedule, and then we don't set ourselves up to create an ideal schedule. You can have an ideal schedule now, and you don't have to earn extra money to do it. And ironically, if you set up an ideal schedule and you stick to it, then you'll end up earning more money anyways because you're doing the right things the right way, and then you'll have extra money for that travel or the experience you want to purchase. I'll be honest, this one's one of my favorites from Andy Storch, who's helping people to create the life and career and the business they want. He goes in a little bit of detail here on why we don't give ourselves enough credit when we set goals and how we go about achieving them.
The funny thing is, when you do set big goals, they almost always take longer than you want them to. Sure. So there were like many frustrating moments where I'm like, why isn't this happening faster? Right?
Yeah. Why am I doing this?
Yeah. But you wake up one day and you have the job that you want, or the career that you want, or you're making the money that you sought after, or you have the life that you want. And oftentimes we don't even give ourselves credit for that because we're always just setting the next goal or measuring ourselves up against what we think would have been possible, or the people that we look at, other people that are quote unquote more successful than us. So I think it's really important. I learned this actually from reading a book last year called The Gap and the Gain. I forget the authors, but if you've read that one.
Gap and the Gain, the same guy that wrote 10X is easier than 2X.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't read that one yet. But the idea was that a lot of entrepreneurs and ambitious people will tend to set goals, and then we'll always be measuring ourselves against what we think we could have achieved even more, or against greater things. And we rarely stop to give ourselves credit, the gain, for what we have achieved. No matter what you're doing, whether you're trying to be a speaker or an entrepreneur, or you're just trying to move up and provide for your family, do you ever stop and look at what your aspirations were 5 or 10 years ago?
Right.
And give yourself some credit for what you've achieved, even if it's just holding down a job and paying a mortgage and providing for your kids. Like, that's freaking great, because a lot of people don't do that.
From the episode, which is more important, email or family? And I think we know the answer to that, but this helps you really solidify if you're paying more attention to the things that don't matter versus the ones that do. So here's what I do. Here's what I advise my clients, and here's what I'm asking you to do. Anytime you're doing something that you know you could eliminate, outsource, batch, delegate, have something or somebody else do it, just kind of weigh out a pros and cons list. Get pen to paper out and write it down. All right, well, I'm going to check email for the 15th time today. Would I rather be doing that, or should I be doing that versus, something that is more important in my life? And I don't know what that thing is to you. Maybe it's one of the very few things I mentioned there, family. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's additional type of work that would bring you closer to where you're supposed to be in life. And just write down, which should I be doing? How much time does each take? Because we keep giving ourselves the excuse we have to do it. Run an experiment. Write these things down. Anytime you do internet research, anytime you go to another meeting you know you don't need to go to, anytime you're taking on an administrative activity that you could outsource, write down the other things that you could or should be doing, and then just weigh them out, pros and cons. And maybe once in a blue moon, you have to check your email 5 times within the course of a day because there's this one major client that you've got to get in touch with right away. But that's not the norm. That's the exception, not the rule. And we can't live our lives to the exception of the rule. Next, Tanya Alvarez on the importance of being in the right accountability group and how to make those work for you.
Yeah, and I've been in groups where I've been paying $20,000 over like $20,000 plus a year and still don't get that accountability, right? And it's usually what ends up happening is it happens in classrooms, it happens everywhere. It's the 10% of people who are always like participating are the same 10% of people who are going to show up, and everybody else is kind of like lurkers. So I will admit I'm a lurker.
Sure, yeah. You're
I
the
don't
person on the message
participate.
board that just chimes in once in a blue moon.
I like to be in a small group. I like more intimate groups. And so that's my sweet spot. So for everybody else, I don't know where people go. For entrepreneurs, you can go to Owners Up. We put you in groups of 5. And then we have a facilitator. So there's not one person who's like, that's leading it and doing all the work in the sense in the group. It's a facilitator who's facilitating the conversation. So it's not that awkward, like, ooh, I don't want to tell Charles that he missed it again. And now I'm going to have to ask feedback and I'm going to have to cringe, all that stuff that people usually go through with accountability.
So in terms of somebody finding an accountability group, what are some of the things they need to look for?
So key things is, one, look for if they are aligned with what you want to do, right? And their values, super important. Second thing is, what is a structure that they're going to do in the sense of their meeting styles? Like how many times are they meeting? What are the consequences? How is it being run? Is it one of those things where you got to kind of go to mastermind, you get inspired, and then next week you're inspired and you're all full of that, like ideas, but there's nobody holding you to making those actions.
That's it, folks. Short, sweet, 20 plus minutes in, and you got a year's worth of information. Thank you for showing up. Here's hoping we get one more year out of this. Don't take off just yet. I've created a new program just for you, helping overworked entrepreneurs create their very own 4-day work week in 90 days or less. Look, if you'd rather spend more time with family, friends, traveling, exercising, having the time to do what you want instead of, putting out never-ending fires, tackling another to-do list, and checking email at 9 p.m., then go to my website, yourcharlesalexander.com. If you've created the income you want but don't have the time freedom you deserve, then this is for you. And as always, if you don't, an angel may actually lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.